Baveja.
About Mr. Baveja, there in the screen you can see his profile. Actually, his profile is so big, so I am very much scared to read it. So I thought I will show only the highlights in the presentation, so you know about him. Mr. Gurbaksh Singh Baveja is a mechanical engineer, graduated in 1970, with more than 44 years experience in various sectors. He had worked with Bharat Heavy Electricals about 12 years, and just now he was sharing with our Tata Power guys that he was the person who was involved in the commissioning of first 500 megawatt unit of India. While in BHL, he was engaged for construction, erection and commissioning of thermal power plants in the country. For 6 months, he underwent an advanced training program for erection of large size machines at KWU in West Germany, wherein he was exposed to an individual machine for up to 800 megawatt. In 1982, he joined Bharat Petroleum, BPCL. After 14 years of working in refineries, he moved as head of administration at corporate office of BPCL, and responsibility covered were all administration related services and policy related matters and contracts of the corporation. He was also looking after corporate social responsibility, real estate, territorial army, and general security and office and residential premises, etc. Lastly, he headed corporate health, safety, security, and environment entity of BPCL in the rank of General Manager, Health, Safety and Security and Environment. He served as estate officer and arbitrator on a number of contracts for its closure. So thank you, Mr. Baveja. See, Baveja का नाम Gurbaksh Singh Baveja है. Actually, in real sense, he is Guru. So for technical things are concerned, I think participants will be able to learn many things from you. Yes, sir. May I request you to continue?
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Great. So thank you very much, Mr. Ghosh. Mr. Ghosh is a close friend of mine. Mr. Karmakar is also a close friend of mine. And we know each other for the last more than a decade. And whatever he has talked, I don't know whether it is true to what he has talked or he has flabbergasted, I do not know. But definitely when people talk like this, I get humbled. And thank you very much for those kind words, Mr. Ghosh. It's my pleasure. It's also my pleasure to be here in SOPAP and giving this so-called inaugural address. I don't know why they call it inaugural address. पहला बकरा जो मिलता है उसको inaugural address बोलते हैं क्या? I don't know. Anyway, so the purpose of this seminar, we all know. You all are going to present your papers, and of course we'll be more keen to listen to you because you have slogged, you have thought over, you have worked as a team, you have, I should say, descripted your experiences into your document, and I'm happy that I have gone through all those documents which you people have sent, and it gives me a great sense of pleasure that young generation is really looking forward towards technology, is looking forward towards innovation, is looking forward towards modernization, and subject is no different. We are talking of refurbishment, we are talking of modernization of plants and machinery, and the very catchword is enhancement of business sustainability. Now when we talk of enhancement of business sustainability, is it possible to really do enhancement of business sustainability? Yes, it is possible. If I talk a machine, if machine is well kept, if machine is well maintained, if machine is time and again serviced properly, why it will not work well? It should work well. But at the same time, certain aspects which are required in any plant, I am going to talk about it. What is required in the plant, and it is my personal thought, but I definitely would like to impose upon you, rather stress upon you, that think over what I am going to talk in this session, if it is applicable to you, if it is applicable to your family, if it is applicable to your equipment, and of course it will definitely be applicable to your plants as well. Every plant, catch my words, every plant is an example of interdisciplinary coexistential harmony. Very big word, very confusing word. But definitely when we talk of interdisciplinary, obviously we are talking of electrical, mechanical, instrumentation, chemical and whatnot and whatnot. When we talk of coexistential, how do we coexist? How we coexist in the family? How we coexist in society? How we coexist in as a human being, or how the entire celestial system is coexisting? Any thoughts? How do you see sun and moon and the earth is rotating around itself? Sun and moon and the earth have got planetary trajectory and they are moving around. So there is some kind of a balance, some kind of a interdependency, some kind of a gravitational force. Same thing happens in the plant also. Now you may wonder why I am saying it so. Go a little deep into thinking. If I am talking of a particular pressure in a particular boiler, if I am talking of that pressure to be maintained, then what next I am doing? I am trying to have safety gadgets which will make sure that at the right time when the pressure is going up, the flow of fuel will come down. Or if there is an extraordinary situation, fuel is not coming down, obviously it will pop up the safety valve. Now what are all these safety gadgets? They are again interdependent. They are designed in such a way to live coexistentially. Can you make a sense what I am saying? This is precisely the coexistential harmony. We are trying to create harmony from one equipment to another, one plant to another, one subsystem to another, and always create a sort of sense of harmony, create a sense of interdependency, which makes the entire plant run in a smooth manner. If suppose the plant has to run smoothly, can we forego the dependence of the plants or dependence of individual equipment onto the subsystems? It may be a plant air, it may be an instrument air, it may be a electrical system, it may be an auxiliary transformer and the internal power supply system. Everything needs a sort of balance to each other, a sort of dependence on each other, a sort of interdependability on each other, and this is what is called harmony of the system. How does it come? If we start thinking about it, how does it come? It comes from the time when the system is designed. How we know what is the requirement of a generator for a torque. So accordingly, we design the turbine. We know if that much of torque is to be generated at 3000 RPM, because we are talking of frequency, so we are fixed with 3000 RPM. 50 cycles is the frequency in India. If we talk of that, obviously we have to think that kind of supply of steam so that it gives or generates that kind of torque for the generator to run. Does it make some sense? What is it? At the design stage, we are creating interdependency. And when I talk of this interdependency, why it is? Because it has to coexist. It has to live together for 40, 50, 60 years of the plant. So every item in the plant, every equipment in the plant, every system in the plant, every subsystem in the plant, whether it is electrical, instrumentation, mechanical, even chemical processes, everywhere there is a strong need to design in such a way that equipments believe each other, follow each other and work together. This is what is harmony. But this harmony gets disturbed. Under what circumstances it gets disturbed? There has to be some reason beyond that. So I have talked about the design basis. The design basis gives us the so-called interdependency of system, subsystem, equipment, minor equipment or major equipment. Now let us come to the next part of it. How many of you have learned car driving? Most of you. All of you will say, yes, we have learned car driving. When you are driving first time, what was your feel of driving? A sense of pride? यार मेरे को सीख गया, मैं तो चला सकता हूँ. शुरू में थोड़ा संभाल के चलाते थे, संभाल के, a caution, a skepticism, I should not hit anybody. After 10 days, you became so used to it that you are driving recklessly because you had a lot of confidence on the brake, you had a lot of confidence onto the clutch and mechanism that you are able to do it. What is this? Harmony between machine and man. Is it possible for any operator to run any plant without knowledge? Without knowing the basic aspects of safe operations of the plant? It is not possible. So what does it call for? It also calls for a kind of a understanding of the margins available for the operations, understanding for the limits to know from what temperature to what temperature we have to go, or what ampere to what ampere a motor can run, and beyond that it will trip. So this is again a reference which we can make that there is a harmony required from equipment to equipment, there is an interdependency required from system to system and subsystems. Without subsystems working, the main equipment will not perform properly. The next part which I said, so that starts from the designing part. The next part, what I said, is related to human interface, human learning, human training. And when we are talking of human training, obviously nobody can run a plant without knowing about it. One has to know the intricacies of where and how it will trip, or where and how I have to manually trip it. There might be auto systems, but if the auto system is not working, unless we know where it should trip and we don't trip, there will be chaos. Am I right or wrong? Is it making some sense?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So, taking these aspects into account, there are many factors which comes into picture when we talk of refurbishment. What is refurbishment? Refurbishment is something which is linked with improvement of a particular equipment, try to bring it to the normalcy. How many of you are working in maintenance? Oh, everybody. So you know about bathtub curve. What is that bathtub curve? Initially, the system is not set. It will give a lot of teething troubles because that time coexistential harmony has not been developed. Men are yet to understand, operators are yet to understand. They have to understand the margins of play. They are not yet understood. You have to do the fine tuning of instruments. You have to do the correct tuning of instruments. Axial thrust, probably it will fail, but you give little margin so that that axial thrust will not give a failure and system can continue to run. It may be in a pump, it may be in a compressor, it may be in a turbine, it may be in a gas turbine. It's a common philosophy. Then we also say that look, when we are heating turbine, let us heat at certain slow degrees. 50 degree per hour rise of temperature, suddenly it should not reach to 700 degrees. Why we are saying so? Again, we are looking at linear expansion of the rotor and the linear expansion of the casing. Now this linear expansion of the rotor and the casing, if they are not going in a same consonance, obviously there is going to be rubbing, the blades will break. These aspects are nothing but have to be understood by the operator, have to be understood by all those who are involved, and that's how they can create a personal harmony with the equipment. Am I saying something? Now, many of us, we are very clear, we are, having a very good sense of our audibility, not audacity, audibility, very good sense of audibility, and by many times hearing the machine, we say it is running smoothly. My own car, if I am driving properly, if the road is smooth, I know this is what the sound should be. But if the sound is disturbed, then what happens? I come to know that there is some kind of a disharmony, some kind of a likelihood of a failure which can take place. This is what is a point to be understood by all engineers, by all those who are involved in, I should say, plant operation and maintenance, that we have to work together as a team. We have to work together so that any kind of those senses which are there are caught properly and converted into a sort of, trying to stop the machine and refurbish the machine or overhaul the machine or repair the machine depending upon what kind of job it is involved. So again, this is another aspect of interdependency. I always use this example, which is very much vivid in my mind. One of the plants I happened to visit, it was at Kandla, BPCL. The ship berthing is about 8 kilometers away. And whenever the fuel is either coming or liquid is coming, it was being stored in the tanks. So once I happened to go for meeting with the port officials, and my local in charge, he said, "Sir, you are a very senior person, you have come over here. Today one of our senior technicians is retiring. Can you please join for 3:30 or so, because we'll have a send-off get together for him." I said, "Yes, if I am free from the other meeting, I will definitely join." So luckily my meeting was over by 2:30 and 3:30 I could join. Obviously, when somebody is retiring, many people talk good about the gentleman. And they will say, he was wonderful, he was this, that, etc. But one of his colleagues, what he told, it touched me. He said, "Sir, Mr. I think his name was Puran Chand or something like that. Sir, Mr. Puran Chand is class apart." I said, "Why?" "Sir, by touching the pipeline, he will tell what is the flow of pumping which is taking place from the ship. Touching the pipeline." And many times people are cross-checked. He is 8 kilometers away, just touching the pipeline, and he'll say 30 meter cube per hour is the flow. How could he get this sense? What is that connect? It is called man-machine interface. Are we having that connect nowadays? We are missing. We are no more going to the field because we are more dependent on modernization, the new tools, the DCS system, and we have stopped going to the field area. What is the advantage? Yes, advantage is that we are definitely banking on the instruments, banking on the system, provided it is made in a right perspective to continue to run uninterrupted. But instruments are instruments, Sometimes instruments do fail. Sometimes instruments have their own, what should I say, टांग खराब हो गया, माथा खराब हो गया, जो भी आप बोलिए, इंस्ट्रूमेंट गर्म हो गया, प्रॉपर मेंटेन नहीं हुआ, डस्ट आ गया, all these factors, they affect onto the instrument, and that affects onto the system. Many companies, they are having a very good practice of various trips which are there to make sure that if there are too many trip systems being bypassed because they are gone for maintenance, instrument is not working, there is a escalation matrix. You all must be knowing what is escalation matrix. That means boss will tell whether it is hazardous or not. Should we accept this bypassing certain trips, certain system or not, right? One of the plants I went for a audit visit, and there I was talking to the boiler group, do you have any matrix for this escalation matrix? He said, yes sir, we are having a very good register. So he showed me beautiful register where everything was written, ये bypass कर दिया, ये bypass कर दिया, ये GM ने sign किया, DGM ने sign किया, like that. So escalation means higher person knows about it. Then similar register was maintained by turbine guy. Sir, ये देखिए, ये किया है, ये किया है, ये किया है. Very good, yeah, wonderful. You people are doing very well. But one of the elements I saw, which has got a turbine side, has got impact onto the boiler. I said, have you both understood this? नहीं साहब, ये तो हमने नहीं सोचा. That means one major interdependency was missed out, and that would have caused an accident. So when we are designing, when we are planning, when we are talking of safety of equipment, when we are talking of the smooth running, when we are talking of refurbishment and modernization, these all aspects must be taken into account. If they are not duly taken into account, this can lead to disastrous situations in any plant. So you all are either from electrical background or from the other backgrounds, but definitely we must understand what are the interdependencies from one equipment to another. We also must understand what is the human sensitivity to look at those aspects. That means the people who are operating, the people who are in the front end, they must have sensitivity to understand when this equipment is going to cause a problem. And before it causes a problem, it should be given to maintenance. So that is where there is a synergy required between operation and maintenance. But most of the plants where we go and we talk to the people, they are having only two terms, tu, my. Do you agree with me? Tu, my. वो हम कब होगा? I look forward for that. It should reach to a hum so that there is a humming sound, there is a beautiful music, and that music can make the entire harmony, not only among the machine parts, but also among the human being. Not only between machine and the individual, also between the teams. So the second point which I wish to say, this is all about interdependency and harmony I talked about. Second point which I would like to say, when we are talking of refurbishment, we are definitely talking of reliability. Why we do refurbishment? Why we are talking of enhancement of business sustainability? We are talking of enhancement of business sustainability because we are looking towards improved performance from the existing system. Just now we talked about bathtub curve, when the plants have sustained for a long time, worked for a long time, towards the later part of life, the curve again becomes problematic. How do we create that curve flat? How do we maintain that curve flat? By doing refurbishment, and that's how we are trying to have higher run length of the plant as a whole. Higher run length is possible when we have individual equipment reliability being maintained. I am talking from one outage to another outage. 1.5 years, 2 years, 3 years. Today people are talking if it's a refinery or if it is a steel plant, people are talking of 4 years as a run length. Uninterrupted working without any stoppage. No major overhauls, no major turnarounds. Now this no major overhaul and turnarounds are again depending upon how harmoniously people work, how harmoniously the equipments work, how harmoniously subsystem works. You all are working in the areas where you are expert of your own, and you might have seen people, those who are working in core activities, they get more credit from the management. Have you felt it? Or subsystem wala, utility wala, ठीक है यार देखेंगे बाद में देखेंगे. But if balance of plants are not supporting, how the main equipment will work, how the main system will work. If nitrogen plant is not working, if plant air is not working, if instrument air is not working, obviously it will not be possible for the main plant or core equipment to work. So most important is when you are at your level, tomorrow you are going to be the head of the departments or head of the units, or I always wish you all that you should be scaling higher heights in your career. And when you are scaling higher heights, please do respect to the subsystems and the people who are working for subsystems. They also sometimes need patting on the back. And this patting on the back will rejuvenate them to such an extent. I think you are all smiling. So I am telling some facts of life. I am just telling what I have learned, what I have seen, and the way people both at senior level as well as the working level behave. And why I am able to say so, there is another important aspect. When I was working with BHEL and working in the power plants with different clients, I was just a contractor. One of the contractors, maybe it's a PSU, but the treatment what we got as a contractor only, supplier and contractor. What he knows, we know operation. What he knows about operation, he knows only about the erection and commissioning. And when I became part of BPCL, I became the owner and others are contractors. So roles have changed, but I did not allow my role to change as an individual. And that is the best part. And that's why when I was as a contractor working, learned a lot. When I got converted to an owner, that time also learned a lot. And these learnings I am trying to share with you, because we are talking of interdependency. Can we work without contractors? Any organization. Today we are talking of more and more offloading the jobs, more and more outsourcing. When we are talking of outsourcing, unless those people know about interdependencies, unless those people know about harmonious working, both within the complex and within the equipment, how will they be able to perform? They have to know us and we have to know them. So this is another aspect which we need to look at from an overall perspective of the organization. When we are trying to have a outsourcing, obviously outsourcing is the in word today, is a in thing today. I know many people, साहब ये हम लोगों ने 300 मैन पावर कम कर दिया है, आउट ऑफ 12,000 एम्प्लॉइज 300 मैन पावर एक प्लांट में कम कर दिया, तो कैसे कर रहे हो यार? नहीं सर, वो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को दे दिया. कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को दे दिया, बहुत अच्छी बात है, बट कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को देने से क्या फायदा? सर वो खर्चा कम होता है, हम लोग का फिक्स्ड एक्सपेंसेस बहुत ज़्यादा है, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को देने से फिक्स्ड एक्सपेंसेस कम हो जाता है. एग्रीड. Agreed, inverted commas. I am not fully agreeing. Now, what is the drawback? There is a gap between what he understands about your machine and what you understand about your machine. What is your loyalty as an owner? Will that be the same loyalty with that guy? Today he is there, next time he may not be there. Today he has come as the lowest code. After 2 years he may not be there as the lowest code. So what is his loyalty or his people's loyalty to the equipment, to the machine, all that what we are talking is something to be thought over. Coming to the basic part of enhancement of business sustainability, obviously when we are talking of business sustainability, we have to sustain in a manner that profitability continues to be there, because business is meant for profit. And profitability up to a certain margin is always accepted as a good margin. It should not be pinching others and trying to make a profit, right? और कई हमारे धर्म ग्रंथों में एक बहुत बड़ा शब्द बोला गया है, Sacha Sauda, Sachi Kamai, Suchi Kamai. What is this Sachi Kamai, Suchi Kamai, Sacha Sauda? Means we are talking a margin which is reasonable. We are talking a margin which is not inconveniencing anybody and is able to do the work. Now you may wonder why I am talking about all these things. But yes, when we talk of modernization, if by way of modernization we are able to get advantage of better efficiencies, if by way of better equipments we are able to get the advantages of higher throughput within the same available resources, then definitely it will add to the business sustainability. Second aspect, wherever the current plants are there, it is always easier to expand them because most utilities are available, most systems are available, experienced peoples are available. So that tacit knowledge and understanding of the location can be easily used for expansion, for adding new equipments, for modernizing the existing equipments and trying to have a better business edge out of whatever we are doing. Simple example, if there is a power plant already existing someplace, you have got all the utilities available, you have got water source available, you have got dispatch system available, adding one more unit there will not be a problem. But if you want to have a plant de novo at some new place, obviously it's a huge cost. So definitely organizations look forward for business sustainability from the same place where they are already operating. Comfort of operation, comfort of availability of people, comfort of trained staff, comfort of own well-settled establishment. When these well-settled establishments are there, modernization is nothing wrong because modernization adds to advantage of quantities, modernization adds to better efficiencies, higher equipment within the same place, and it has got tremendous advantage to do modernization in the same place. Refurbishment, when we are talking of refurbishment, we should always look at, am I improving the availability of the equipment? Am I improving the run length of the equipment? Am I improving the interchangeability of the equipment? It should not happen that I buy a new motor and it is not able to fit in the same foundation. So obviously interchangeability may or may not be there. So we have to look at interchangeability of equipment, we have to look at replaceability of equipment, we have to look at what else need to be done which will help us to improve our overall efficiency and enhance our business sustainability by getting improved individual equipment life on a reliability basis and also by improving our overall plant as a system duly coexisting and duly working in a harmonious manner. If you have any questions at this point of time, you can ask me. Otherwise, I think I have spoken enough, and of course, these are my thoughts which I have given to you, and I am sure it might have given you some kind of a thought-provoking ideas what to be done and what not to be done, or maybe what you can think for future in your organization. All the very best to all of you. Yeah.
Mr. Baveja sir is Wikipedia of knowledge, If you would like to ask any question, you are most welcome. So, who will ask? Yeah.
Sir, you told about the
I will say, आप बैठो ना, खड़े होने का टाइम हमारा है. आप बैठिए, please.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, please.
Sir, you told about the harmony between the plant and the human. So, with respect to that, as you told that today the most of the plants which are there, they are outsourcing, and we are inviting more or less contractors in our plants. So, with respect to that, my question is that how this gap can be fulfilled? Because earlier there was the loyalty between the person who was working on the fixed role and all. Now that gap has becoming more and more
Widened.
widened. So how that gap can be fulfilled so that this interface between the human and the machine will help in improving the plant reliability.
That's right. Very good question. See, there are many ways to have this relationship between contractor and the owner. There is a word called relationship. What is that relationship? Should we have only the fiscal relationship? I'm not talking of physical, but fiscal, financial relationship. Or should we have a relationship where he understands our needs and we are understanding their needs? Most important aspect here, I will say that 99% of us, I'm using the word very predominantly, 99% of us, we operate from the chair. We don't operate from the way we should operate. New contractor has been engaged for a turnaround in one of the places, and it is expected that that contractor's men will know where is warehouse, will know where to pick up the spare parts. How can we say so? He has not seen your plant, he is coming for the first time. Give them some guidance, give them some time. So this is where we have to create a clear-cut platform for our contractors also to understand our requirements. And we should work as a facilitator, very, very important. Facilitator, guide, mentor. If we are the owners of the plant, and if we work as a facilitator, guide and mentor, why contractor will not respect you? Why contractor will not work for you? Very simple example. Many times contractor will come, when I was at a senior level, many times contractor will come, साहब वो साहब के साथ काम करके बड़ा मजा आता है। ये क्या मजा है भाई? कोई पैसे का लेनदेन तो नहीं है ना? But what is that मजा? He enjoys working with that guy, whereas he is not comfortable working with another guy. Then I tried to analyze it, and I found that that person with whom he is comfortable to work, he is literally solving his day-to-day problems. If his day-to-day problems are being solved, we are sharing our knowledge, we are upgrading them, and we are earning their royalty also. Who is not happy to get new knowledge? Right? Anybody, for that matter, something new, something innovative, something which is challenging, people are always willing to accept it. And human beings are not different, whether it is a contractor person, whether it is we. So, new challenges, they will always accept, provided we become their guide and mentor. And this particular statement example is very clear to illustrate where from we should operate and how we should treat the contractors, how we can create a synergy between contract people and our requirements. There is if I may say something different about the relationship, many companies, they acquire certain organization. Why they acquire? Acquire, acquisition. Nowadays, merger acquisition is a very common word. Why they acquire? Because they find there is an advantage of acquiring or making them as partner. So can we make our contractors as our partners, directly or indirectly? Many ways to do it. Only one has to start thinking in a different, I should say, phase of thinking, different way of thinking. If our way of thinking is not going in a routine manner, but gets refurbished, gets modernized, obviously the thinking will also help in improving our systems and procedures. It will help in contract management. It will help in many ways. Secondly, since you talked about contractors, are we able to spell out our requirements precisely? Very big problem. Invariably, somewhere I was taking a training program on contract management, and casually I asked all the audience, how many contracts every year you award? Somebody said, sir, 600 in a year. Somebody said, sir, 300 in a year. How many you close it? Sir, hardly 5 or 6. What does it show? It shows that there's a big disparity between, if you're not closing a contract, that means some money is available with you of that contractor. Are we closing the contracts? Why we are not closing the contracts? Because there is an element of extra claim. Where from this element of extra claim has come? Obviously, the specification what we did at that point of time was not proper. And we are not willing to change. Change management in any contract is very vital aspect which is required to be dealt with properly. Today people are talking, we are not interested in contracts in the Indian way, we want to have FIDIC way. Why there is a need for people to say, I want to have a contract in a FIDIC way? Because FIDIC very clearly assigns responsibilities of owner and the contractor from all aspects. We are poor in that. We are poor because we always think that, most of our contracts are one-sided. I'm sorry for using this word, but most of our contracts are one-sided. Where is the opportunity for contractor to speak, contractor to tell, नहीं भाई, blank sheet पे sign कर दो बस हो गया. अभी वो क्या करेगा? आपको चूना लगाएगा. देखिए ये आप ख्याल रखिए, अगर आप ओनर हैं और कोई दूसरा कॉन्ट्रैक्टर है, चाहे आप कुछ भी करिए, जो हिंदी में कहावत है ना, छुरी खरबूजे पे गिरे या खरबूजा छुरी पे गिरे, कटता खरबूजा ही है. So owner, when they are engaging a contractor, they should not forget this philosophy. I hope.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Really well said. खरबूजा को चाकू पे गिरे या खरबूज पे गिरे, एक ही बात है, right? It's really worth learning, sir. Any other question, please? Yeah, please. First in mic there, please. अरे here.
It's all right.
Oh,
Sir,
sorry.
actually,
यार बैठो आप please.
yeah. Actually, sir, when we say about business sustainability, every company has some, in today's scenario, every company has some short-term and long-term goals for sustainability. But basically, we see two types of major goals. One is financial goal and other is environmental goal. And when we prioritize financial goals, obviously the environmental goals may get impacted somehow. So how the balance is going to be maintained, because in today's scenario, if we see in power plants, government is making compulsory of FGDs. So these are going to impact the financial viability of the companies.
Very right.
So how this balance is going to be maintained in the future?
Very good question. And you have missed out one important aspect. You have talked about two P's, profit and pollution, or profit and planet, what they call it. But third P is very important, that is people. And all the three P's, we have to take a balance, and government is also talking on the same terms. Government is saying, whatever you have taken from the society, give it back in form of CSR. Your company is also having many projects on CSR. So when we talking of so-called business sustainability, all the three P's have to run parallel. We cannot say that we will pollute and we will make profit. We also cannot say we will make only profit and to hell with people, right? We have to take in cognizance of all the three P's, and without taking cognizance of these three P's, it is not possible for us to move forward. Of course, you said about FGD. I went to one of the plants, and I don't know whether you people are aware of government's commitment to the international arena. 4 years back, our Honorable Prime Minister attended the climate change convention 4 years back, and that time he had committed that we'll continue to have the same cap as far as pollutions are concerned, you know. If you have to maintain the same cap, how will you do it? If you want to expand, modernize or expand or put a new plant over there or want to have a capacity augmentation, obviously the emission has to remain at the same old level. How do you maintain it? Obviously through FGD. So FGD, good you raised this point to me. I happened to visit one of the plants and I was surprised that already they were having 9 units and they were putting up one more unit. 500 megawatt, one more unit was coming up. And I was surprised that they were doing major work in unit 2 or 3. So I asked what is being done. So they said, sir, we are putting FGD. How much will it cost? 680 crores. One plant. They are already having 9 units. How much will it be? हिसाब लगा लो भाई, बड़ा भाग कर लो. So, but what is the advantage of putting 10th unit and 11th unit over there? More than 20,000 crores. They can put up a new plant just about 5,000 crores. Right? So these are the advantages which are there. And if we have to maintain the same cap of our pollution figures, then obviously these thoughts are going to be there. So let us not talk about FGD alone. Let us talk about in a holistic manner. So once we know the background, once we know the backdrop, it becomes very easy for us to appreciate same what is pinching us here. I hope I clarified to you.
Thank you, sir. One last question we'll get from here. Yeah, you are your name.
Good morning, I'm Prashant.
Good morning.
TVS Motors. So, you have touched upon all the aspects of industry, what is happening presently. So, especially coming to the outsourcing aspect. So, now the non-profit departments, if you see, the maintenance is one of the department, thankless job. Normally, year on year, we say that in the fraternity. So, the outsourcing of maintenance of a plant is one of the major challenge what we are facing now as a maintenance team. And some of the area we have done it, and as you rightly mentioned, the loyalty aspects, it is terribly missing from the contractors, and the existence, coexistence, and what you rightly mentioned is independent coexistence. All these harmonies are getting missed, and finally the plant is suffering.
Right.
And whatever the deterioration happens, which is very slow and irreversible. So that is the pain point what we are facing. So how to overcome this? This is really getting so much trouble. How to go about it?
Very good point. Outsourcing is going to be the order of the day. Let us accept this fact of life. And after the new codes come, people will stop outsourcing. Let the new codes come. New wage code, new what you call it, labor code. Let these new codes come. Anybody sitting, coming from IT, any company coming to your place and working on your platform will also be paid same salary as you are getting. थोड़ा रुक जाइए.
Yeah, okay.
थोड़ा रुक जाइए.
One job, one pay.
See, today the thought process is to conserve money. Tomorrow the thought process will come back to same conserve money, and they will say, let us not outsource, let us have our own people. क्या होता है ना, once you burn your fingers, you know, right? And also one must know which shoe is pinching where, both sides. But notwithstanding that, this cycle is about 10 years. By the time the new system comes, new wage code comes, new implementation happens, it will go 10 years. During this 10 years, when there is a transition, you need to look at how you can upgrade the type of contractors who are coming for you towards maintenance. So your two things are there. The way you design your scope of work and the way you shortlist the parties, that will be a important catchword for you. Shortlisting parties, if you are in a PSU, you have more problem because you have to go through various parameters, and there is everybody is scared of, CVC and vigilance and audit and whatnot. But in your case, you have got little more flexibility. Yes, you have to keep your bosses well informed about it. You have to keep your, try to know the pitfalls. I'll give you one example. Every time a pump is failing, what we say, what is the failure? We say, "Sab, seal fail ho gaya, plant fail ho gaya, bearing fail ho gaya." But are we anytime connecting that what is the loss because of this failure? We don't connect, If you connect with the loss which is in the failure, probably your superior will say, "Arey yaar, pump naya le lo," or go for a better seal manufacturer. So we, in maintenance, we do not do that exercise judiciously. We have a system of failure analysis. And when we do failure analysis, the worst part is report writing. Because we are all engineers, we are not knowing the art and science of writing reports, We write what is in the front, but we do not write what top management wants. Or we do not write how to impress top management. See, very importantly, top management क्या समझता है? पैसा, रोकड़ा, right? If you explain that this failure has cost 5 lakhs of rupees towards production, direct and indirect loss, and a new pump will cost only 2.5 lakhs of rupees, will they not agree for buying a new pump? So most of our maintenance guys, we live today. यार किसी तरह से आज का काम करो, ये इसको जल्दी से चालू करो ताकि किटकिट नहीं हो, रात को 10 बजे मेरे को घर से ना बुलाए. So taking all these aspects into account, it becomes very important for us that there are many people who say they are smart, and maintenance guys have to become street smart. Not only smart, you should be street smart. You should be able to justify your requirements properly. If you are able to justify your requirements, whether it is taking preventive outage, if that is not available, then obviously breakdown outage will always be there. Coming to your second part of the question, that the contract people, again, it comes back to the situation, how do we define our scope of work? What are our expectations from the contractor, not only contractor, from supervisor? What should be his qualification? What should be his pre-qualification? What should be contract workers' qualification? Are we rating? किसको फुर्सत है यार? कौन इतना लिखेगा? The more we are pakka, the more we will be having strength from the contractors also. This is my view. You might differ. I know it's a tremendous amount of work is to be done, but आपको भी मैंने काम पे लगा दिया, तभी आपको फायदा होगा. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think it was an exciting session. We'll talk to it later, maybe before lunch or maybe post lunch. We'll be elaborating further. And Mr. Baveja is available here during networking tea break and networking tea lunch break. Definitely you can discuss with him. And as I told you, he is the living Wikipedia. So you can get a lot of things from him, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, friend. Thanks a lot.